police brutality has literally plagued the black community for centuries. Black people have been disproportionately suffering under the brunt of overly aggressive policing, often for minor infractions and in many cases no infraction at all. While debates over police misconduct and reform have been reignited in the wake of the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, the treatment of black children by law enforcement has received less scrutiny. According to data, more than 50% of the children handled with force by law enforcement are black, with takedowns, strikes, muscling, and threats of firearm use listed as common types of force. While many jurisdictions govern how children may be handcuffed, there are no laws that specifically prohibit the use of police force against them. This leaves a little leeway for parents to file complaints and lawsuits against officers who handle their children with unnecessary force. The issue is also compounded by law enforcement's perceptions of black children as older than they are. An American Psychological Association study found that black boys as young as 10 years old were not viewed with the same childhood innocence as white children the same age. The same study also found that black boys were perceived as being guilty of crimes, subjecting them to police violence. Joining us to discuss more is CEO and co-founder of the Center for Policing Equity, Phillip Atiba Goff, and director of the Juvenile Justice Clinic at Georgetown University, Kristin Henning, whose new book is titled The Rage of Innocence: How America Criminalizes Black Youth. So, Phillip, let me start with you. How do you take these numbers that this new data reveals to us?
To be honest, I'm surprised that the numbers are that low. You cited an American Psychological Association study. That's my study. When we look across multiple cities, we see, perhaps even more shockingly, that when you control for things like the crime and arrest rates of black youth and white adults, black children are more likely to get beat up by cops than white adults. So I want to be really clear about what that means. One version of how we can interpret that. That means that whiteness is more protective than childhood. That's the system that we've built. That's not a few bad apples. That's not a training or two. That's not a changing of hearts and minds. That is the system working the way it was meant to. And that means we need to uproot that and replace it with something different if we want to have these barbaric numbers go in a different direction.
Kristin, kids in black communities are often traumatized by the sheer amount of police presence that they see in their neighborhoods. Can you speak to the level of trauma that they may experience by having actual physical interaction with an officer at such a young age?
Yeah, I think it's such an important question. I think we so often talk about these high profile incidents of police brutality against children, and we really have to understand that there is a deep psychological trauma associated simply with the pervasive presence of police in heavily surveilled Black and brown communities. And so research shows that Black youth who grow up in communities with, again, heavy police presence experience significant evidence of depression, anxiety, fear, hopelessness, and they become hypervigilant, always afraid or distrustful of the police. And that distrust transfers to other authority figures in their lives, like teachers and the like. And it has a profound impact on their sense of self, who they are, who they can become in society, and whether it even makes sense to participate in mainstream society. So it's really important to understand just how deep and pervasive it is for young Black children. And as you said earlier, Charles, to come into contact with the police for normal adolescent behaviors that we would never think about engaging the police on if it were a white child.
So let's talk a little bit about these normal childhood behaviors that the police, when encountering black children, see those things as threatening. The first name that pops to mind is Tamir Rice, right? You know, playing with a toy gun in a park. You know, not even stopping to say, what is that you have in your hand or whatever. They shot him within, I think it was 1.5 seconds or 3 seconds of arriving on the scene. Why is that so pervasive? Why is that so hardwired into people's thinking about black children in particular?
Yeah, and so I'm sorry, Kristin. I'm so excited to be sitting here right next to your book. I'm taking the question. So I'll tell you that part of the reason is because we think of particularly adolescence as a uniquely human stage of development. You go to the zoo and you're looking for the big, scary animals, you're looking for the tall animals, and you're looking for the baby animals. The kids love to see the baby tiger, the baby lions. Nobody's looking for the teenage wolf, right? Or the teenage tiger, because that's a uniquely human developmental stage, at least in our own minds. So if you have a group that's not considered fully human, like black folks aren't by many folks around the country, then you just get to be small and then a predator. That's a part of it. But I think it's really important what's in Kristin's book and what Kristin was just talking about. This is not just a failure of individual officers. This is a systems failure. So one of the kinds of things that we see at the Center for Policing Equity, my graduate students at Yale, is that something that is totally normal, like being bored in class, so you write on your desk. Anybody ever do that? Well, that's vandalism of a public good, and law enforcement get called to enforce that in traditionally black schools where they don't in white schools. And when someone says, well, that's ridiculous, what are you doing? Get your hands off of me, like a teenager would when they've just drawn on a desk. Well, that's resisting arrest. So it's the whole systems that we've set up where when depression or emotion dysregulation or just generally being bored because there's not enough resources in the classroom lands you with wanting to mouth off to an authority figure. That's a regular part of being a teenager in any place that services children appropriately. But we have set up our systems where we don't have the resources to control that individual, to not let them disrupt the classroom. So what are we going to do? Instead of having teachers who are trained and with the resources appropriate for that, we call the cops, and the cops show up, and then violence ensues. That's not just about policing. That's about the grand disinvestment that we've had in black communities that makes it look like it's black folks' fault for what we do to black folks. That's the part I hope folks take away from this story.
Yeah.
Kristin, I think you wanted to get in on that question as well.
Yeah, and my friend Phil said it so beautifully. But it is worth remembering that America has a long history of failing to see black children as children. So all the way back, there is a through line from slavery when black children were treated as the property of the purported master through the civil rights era, right? When you can have a lynching of Emmett Till without consequence, right? And in particular, as a statement that we will not tolerate integration, a symbolic representation that we will not tolerate black children in our schools. And the only way that the lynchers could justify that is to intentionally paint the picture of black boys like Emmett Till as a threat to whiteness and to white women in particular. And here's what's critical. That narrative then becomes deeply embedded in our American psyche. And you see it again in the 80s and 90s when there's a temporary uptick in crime. And then we have the super predator myth, right? This theory that there was going to be a band of black children run amok in our society to rape, murder, and kill. And that never turned out to be true. But again, furthering the deeply embedded fears that we have about black children. And so when I think about adolescence, just all of us think about what it meant to be a teenager. Being a teenager is all about what? The music that we listen to, the clothes that we wear, the parties that we attend, the friends that we hang out with, the ways in which we style our hair, and the like. And it is important to recognize that while white children are given the privilege privilege to experiment with all of that, to enjoy all the freedoms of adolescence, right? From physical safety, public affirmation, adventure, experimentation, social and academic freedom, Black children are suspended. It's like, Phil said, it's more than just,
Right.
one bad apple. It's this pervasive sense that, children have to be suspended, expelled, arrested, and criminalized, treated like adults, sent to adult courts for what every
Right.
other white child gets to do.
Kristin Henning, author of The Rage of Innocence, How America Criminalizes Black Youth, and Phillip Atiba Goff. Thank you both for joining us.